Hello, my name is Joanne Rolle. I'm the Dean of the School of Business here at Medgar College, and we are indeed very pleased to be the happy host of this conference. I bring you greetings from our president, President Rudy Crew, and our provost, Provost Augustine Okariki, and the many wonderful faculty here at Medgar Evers College who work to serve the wonderful students and the community at large. My keynote address is the Mobilizing Equity, a gem of an idea. And I recently presented this presentation as a keynote address for a group of women business owners. I'm presenting it here because it's not just about that group, but it was based on a lot of the body of work that we have done together in collaboration with Kenyatta University, Professor Casato, Professor Crump, who's our lead in entrepreneurship here at Medgar Evers College, Professor Avivado, who is our Chile colleague, Professor Byron Price, who's in public administration, and our practitioner, Nia Rock, who has been a long-term supporter. She is the founder and CEO of Blue Sweet Solutions Incorporated. And so with that, I will get started. Okay, this presentation will talk a little bit about access and equity, disparities among the communities of color, strategies for empowerment, collaboration and growth, post-COVID-19 solutions, the call to action to mobilize Black women businesses. And I tell Black women's businesses because it's the fastest growing sector of businesses in this country, in the US. But I also encourage other sectors to grow as fast as they can, other communities of color. I want to talk a little bit about income and in wealth disparity. I have several articles on income, health, and businesses, as well as communities, to show how since 1960, when we first had the civil rights policies and actions, and since then, we have not closed the gap. In fact, the sad truth is the gap between Black and white income disparity has grown and not dissipated. And there's a lot of research and there's a lot of articles to show that. And if you get a copy of the presentations, I linked out to those as well. There's health disparities. What happened when we got COVID-19 was that many Black and brown colored communities, we were already disparately afflicted with health issues and illnesses. From the case of high blood pressure, obesity, and many diabetes, and many other diseases hit our communities first. And so then you have COVID-19 comes along, and those issues and challenges are even worse. When we look at Black businesses have been hit even harder. The New York Times recently came out with an article indicating that Black businesses in April, in terms of the lockdown, where 40% of them had to shut their doors. Many of them won't be able to open back again, especially after the long run and receiving no revenues. And many of them will have to find how to reinvent themselves or how to become serial entrepreneurs and go on to something else with the new need and opportunity that's coming in COVID-19, post-COVID-19. Only 17% of the white businesses had to shut their doors. So you see that there is tremendous disparity, and the playing field has never, ever been equal. When we start looking at the communities, the social unrest from the George Floyd death has created a wealth of outcry, not just from Black and brown communities, but from everyone all around the world, looking at the inhumane and unconscionable behavior about the society in general. And this is not new news to us. we've had many, many incidents of Black and brown people being, in fact, I won't use the word genocide, but what I will say is that many, many deaths and many, many, if we look at the prison recidivism, the society as a whole has left us with, many Black women households to fend for themselves. And that's one of the reasons why we focus on women businesses here. But communities in general, brown and Black communities in general, are under siege. Now, I don't want to make this a story of no hope. There is hope, and there is hope, we believe, in businesses with through entrepreneurship. I want to give you a couple of examples of businesses that have been led by women, Black women businesses that have been led. Uh, we'll start with how they launch. Family and friends have been one of the main ways that businesses get launched in these communities. And this Western Air Bahamas is of the Caribbean legacy. But the point I want to bring here is this young woman started as a baggage handler in her family business when she was very young. She rose through the ranks to do inspections. And by doing inspections, she could see what was right with the family business and where the family business could be improved. And one of the quotes that she said in the article that was done was, I could have just waited and took this business as my family gave it to me, or I could have risen to the charge of taking this business to the next level. And what she did was she went away to college and got a law degree and came back. Many of our family members go away and they don't come back, but she came back to lift the business up, and she has taken the business from that small little venture that it was to a place where it is a well-respected venture, serving folks in her family as well as her community. The next example I want to bring you is Lexus of Huntsville. Many of us look and say, well, I don't have the skills, I don't have the education, I don't have the training, but we could start in place. This woman started as a secretary. She took advantage of all the education, the managerial training, and everything that was offered to her. And then she bought her dealership. And not only did she buy the dealership, but she grew the dealership so fast that she was able to pay back all the funds that she owed. And she is running one of the most successful Lexus businesses. So the point I want to make here is start where you are. If you want to start with friends and family, fine. Or if you want to start in the industry that you are in, grow, learn, invest in yourself, and then launch your business. Now, once the businesses are launched, how do you really grow it? I'm just taking one example of growth. Goldman Sachs, what they wanted to do was they wanted to take businesses that had already gotten some momentum. So they looked at 12 Black women-owned businesses, Black and brown women-owned businesses that were successful in getting funds from venture capital. Now, what did that do? That said that number one, they had the network, they had the skills, and they had the persistence. Also, that venture capitalists were willing to bet on them. And as venture capitalists was willing to bet on them, Goldman Sachs actually put an environment, an ecosystem around these businesses with training and partnership and mentorship. So it takes more than just the capital. It takes additional support systems, and that's what Goldman Sachs delivered to these businesses to help grow them even faster. Many times we talk about our businesses, about developing them and growing them, but we don't talk about the exit strategy and harvesting these businesses. The reason why it's so important to harvest these businesses is so that you can become a serial entrepreneur and help other young businesses develop and grow in the community that we serve. The example I have here is that this Black woman CEO company was sold to Amazon and at $1 billion price tag. But she didn't just start there. She grew her network. She grew her industry experience. She grew her ability to learn how to lead hundreds and thousands of folks, and then she found partners that were willing to bet on her. So I want to talk a little bit more about that in the next area. That we can't just be comfortable in areas that we have had businesses before. We have to develop blue ocean opportunities and strategies in other industries, in the tech, the health sector, and many other industries. Many times we get very comfortable in areas that we know, but I want to encourage you, look further than the red competitive markets. Look to markets where we could collaborate with others and grow those markets and have healthy businesses in our communities. Develop continuous mentor and mentees. Many people say, well, I have a mentor and a mentee. In the post-COVID world, one is not enough. If you are a mentor, you are going to have to lift up multiple mentees in multiple areas. Many young men, women, and men will need your skilling, your sage advice, and you as a mentor will need many more mentors in this post-COVID-19 world, because much of what we're going, we don't have a track record for. We don't even know many of the jobs that are going to be needed in the future. And so we have to be flexible and agile and continue to develop and continue to seek people to help develop us. We need to seek diverse sponsorship and partnerships and networks. We can't be comfortable with the familiar of what we know and the people we know. We have to go outside of our comfort zone. We have a long development career. Our career strategies have to be longer term to develop more skills. The need for skills is going to be dynamic, and the need for relationships will be dynamic too. While everyone is focused on leadership, we need to focus also on leveraging and building great teams. You know, the problems that we will have to solve COVID-19 are much, much greater and the individual. And so we're going to have to get better at learning how to leverage teams and outreach outside of our comfort zone. I've said that over and over. Give back and connect to a vision of wealth. Many of our young people don't have a vision of wealth. We have to help promote and share that with them. At Medgar College, we cohorts of students to look and study entrepreneurship in Kenya, in China, in Japan, in Thailand, in Jamaica, and several other countries. So wealth is global, and that leads me to my next point: go global. The African Trade Agreement didn't go far, but the U.S. and Kenya is now working on a free trade agreement, which will give us much more global opportunity. But in that opportunity, we need to recommit to unity and accountability, not just in our space, but in places where the growth is going to happen. There is going to be significant growth, yes, in China, but there's significant growth in Africa. The fastest growing populations are in China, Africa, and in India, and in that region. So let's commit and be more accountable to each other. Here, this is a slide saying that a lot of times people would say, well, I don't know how and where to go to support businesses of color and people of color. There are all kinds of lists coming out. This young woman who's in this slide, her and her business partner, as well as others, are putting out lists. If you want to buy from Black businesses, there you can find them. There is no more excuse that I cannot find good services and products from people of color. And I know I'm coming towards the end of my presentation. I just want to close by saying there is going to be much, much more opportunity post-COVID-19, I believe, than before. There are going to be things where there weren't people in place, there weren't business in places. And if we look to the blue ocean as opposed to always crowding out in red competitive spaces, we will be able to bring wealth to our community and our families, leverage our diversity, our creativity, and our capacity building. The power of collaboration to launch, to grow, and develop and again to recreate over and over. Just because you create one successful business in the community, don't stop there. Recreate more and more. And finally, a call to action to mobilize the Black and Brown community for women businesses, because we've already been fastest growing for a lot of structural reasons, structural issues in the labor market, which there is still discrimination. Let's call a spade a spade. We have not alleviated discrimination in the marketplace, but what we see in the Black woman is about the survival of her children and her family. And I also know that Black men have been in the home and they've been doing the same thing. But I am saying for those Black women who are already out there, grow those businesses and then harvest and do it again. COVID-19 is not going to stop us. COVID-19 is going to accelerate the future for business, and the future of business, we believe, is now. And so now I will take any questions that you will have. Thank you very much.